What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about a few different horror topics in this video here today. We'll be talking about Scream 7, Scary Movie 6, Saw X, and we'll be talking about I'll share my reaction to that Borderline movie. So starting off here with Scream 7, Scott Foley was on Good Morning America recently and had some comments about his return in the upcoming film that seems to be a bit different from his last comment. He said, "I don't know how it works out. Spoiler alert, 25 years ago, I was the killer in Scream 3, and he was brutally taken to town and killed. And now I'm back in Scream 7, and I'm not sure how it's going to work." He also mentioned seeing Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Kevin Williamson, which is nice for them to reunite. But I feel like after his statement that he's either lying a bit, and that lie could be rooted in him trying to backtrack on things that he said previously that he maybe shouldn't have said. Remember, he stated that he had a conversation with Kevin Williamson, who reassured him that this is how you're coming back. And he was like, oh, that's how they're doing it. So he felt a little bit more confident about the return as Roman Bridger, because he's been saying up and down that his character is still dead, indicating he's still playing Roman Bridger. So it's like, how do you go from that to this unless you're now trying to cover up the fact that you maybe let a little too much out? Because now he's saying, I don't know how it works out. Yeah, you do. I think he knows exactly how it works out. He knows that it's incorporated into the AI stuff. He knows that it's incorporated into some potential flashbacks, and he maybe just wasn't supposed to let that out of the bag, or let that cat out of the bag so soon. So now he's trying to put it back in, but it's like, well, some of us already saw what you said to Mark Consuelos and his wife on their show. Now you're trying to say you don't know. It's like, okay, who are you trying to fool here? Unless he means something else about not being in the know, because it doesn't make complete sense with what he said previously. I think he's trying to backtrack. What did you guys think about Scott Foley's comments? And are you for certain that he's going to be part of the AI stuff? I myself don't personally know that he's going to be part of that. I have heard about flashback rumors and stuff like that. That's all I really heard about. I have not personally heard that he will be one of those voices that are going to be potentially AI. But of course, anything's possible with all these dead characters coming back. Now let's talk about our Scary Movie 6. So Regina Hall has shared the following comments with Entertainment Tonight in regards to returning for Scary Movie 6. She said, "I mean, that's what I'm hearing, so we'll see." Now she said that in regards to hearing there are plans for Brenda Meeks to return yet again. Not the biggest surprise, granted. I do know that everyone listening, or some of you listening, are probably jumping for joy right now. I did hear that Brenda's kids might appear. Now, remember that baby she had with Jigsaw? Some sort of alien-like baby she had at the end of Scary Movie 4. Yeah, the rumor is that that thing is coming back. But again, that's just a rumor. It's not confirmed. Just like how Regina's participation isn't confirmed yet as well. Because she's not saying she signed. She's just saying she's heard the plan is to have Brenda Meeks involved. She seemed very excited with the delivery too. We know she said that she's down to be back in the past with Anna Faris. And if Regina is planning to return, there's no way the same isn't true for Anna Faris, who played Cindy. The sentiment is that they are the heart and soul of that franchise, I would say, especially for Scary Movie 3 through 4. Especially after the Wayans were not involved with the last two films before it really went off the rails with 5. But their absence in 5 definitely highlighted how important their chemistry was to that 4th movie and the prior entries. So seeing Brenda and Cindy reunited all these years later, involved in some more shenanigans, making us all laugh like it's 2001 and the year 2000 again, I would be down for that. I'm certain it's going to happen, and we'll get some updates on their returns later on this year. Now, let's talk about Borderline. Samara Weaving and Ray Nicholson starred in this movie that just came out. I think it had a limited release. But them starring in one of the worst directorial debuts I've ever seen wasn't on my bingo card for the year. And yet, here we are. Borderline is neither funny nor thrilling. Its only saving grace are, in fact, its lead stars, Weaving and Nicholson, who can do no wrong. It squanders an opportunity to explore parasocial relationships in a compelling way in favor of a more bland and lifeless narrative that was definitely a choice to make. And I was watching this going, what the fuck are we doing here? I could not believe the direction the film took. The movie drags on for far too long at times as well. It has one too many characters, which then in of itself takes away from Weaving's pop star character, who is the lead of the film. And you have to just think, well, how do you expect me to care about this pop star who, again, she's doing a phenomenal job playing the character, but how do you expect me to care about her when you are juggling this character, that character, and it seems like you're wanting to focus on so many, and it comes off very desperate to the point where, as a viewer, I'm just like, well, I don't care about anyone. And this didn't deserve a full-fledged review. That's why I'm just throwing it out here in this update video. Plus, I was embargoed from talking about it until the 13th. But if you watched Borderline and enjoyed it, good for you. I thought it was pretty abysmal. Thought it was one of the worst directorial debuts that I've seen in quite a while. And again, the only saving graces were the two leads. I would honestly give the movie a 4 out of 10. It almost has no redeeming qualities. But if you enjoyed Borderline, let me know why or why not down in the comment section below. Saw 11. So a Saw 11 rumor about Hoffman has been cleared up by the source of the information, which is the wonderful Vink360 over on the Saw subreddit. Saw updates a few days ago that Twitter account shared a rumor about Hoffman's inclusion, and then this is what Vink followed up with recently to give clarity, because everybody was going crazy about not wanting to see too much Hoffman, this, that, and the third. But they said this over on Reddit. For the sake of clarity, this doesn't mean that Saw 11 is happening or anything like that, and it doesn't mean it features a ton of Hoffman either. As I told OP, in this case, referring to Saw Updates, because that's where Saw Updates got this information from. They said, as I told OP, I don't think this is particularly noteworthy info or worth mentioning, so I hope people don't jump to conclusions from it. What I specifically heard was this. At one point, 3 different proposals for a Saw 11 were in the very early works, think workshopping stage, not 3 ideas pitched nor scripts. It apparently got narrowed down to 2 quickly, and that the one that got retained featured more of Hoffman than the other. That was very early on, around the time Saw 11 got announced. Now, what they're getting at is that even though it featured more of Hoffman, you should not then assume that meant it had as much Hoffman as we saw featured in some of those later Saw films. Basically, more Hoffman could have just been longer than a couple of seconds that we got at the end of Saw X. Maybe Hoffman showed up for an extra minute or two, which by what we saw in Saw X, yes, would be more Hoffman. But it doesn't mean it's going to be on the same level of what you saw from Hoffman in the later Saw sequels. If you're someone who saw that rumor and you jumped to those conclusions, Vink gave clarity about it over on the Saw subreddit, and that was nice of them to do, because they made it clear that they probably shouldn't have shared this information anyway to avoid the jumping to conclusions that inevitably happen. Actually, one last thing I want to talk about is going to be related to the Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel series that we know is in development. So, Sarah Michelle Gellar gave a small update to People recently in a new interview talking about the progress of the upcoming series. She said, "We've set up our offices, which means things are progressing probably faster than I'd anticipated, but it's going to be a process, I think. To do it the way it needs to be done, everyone has to be patient with all of us, because this isn't something that will just happen." She talked about how they have these Zoom meetings and how Chloe Zhao, who we know is supposed to be directing an episode, I think the pilot, defers to her sometimes for ideas. So it sounds like they definitely are taking this a bit more serious, and we're at that stage where this is definitely going to be happening. It's been in development since 2018. I always want to highlight that, because it didn't just come out of the blue. It's been in development since 2018. At one point, it was supposed to be from another person with Joss Whedon involved. That has completely shifted from the 2018 announcement to where we are now. They never canceled it in between that. It was just paused, and now it's back up and running. And I think this is going to be coming out very soon. At best, I would see this coming out 2027, because what they could do is spend all this year writing up the rest of the show, shoot that pilot, find their new Slayer. Hulu will, of course, view the pilot. They'll decide to go ahead and greenlit an entire season. They'll already have the scripts written, and then they'll start casting for other characters that make up the rest of the season. And then they will shoot the rest of the season, probably rework the pilot if it needs to be reshot from whatever changes Hulu wants to have made. And then in 2026, that's when most of the filming probably will occur. But then in 2027, they'll release the first season in honor of the 30th anniversary of Buffy. So, yeah, I get it. Waiting another year or two sounds like a bit of a drag, but I think it's worth it in terms of this show. It has to be done in a way that lives up to expectations, lives up to the legacy of the original show, that original universe, because Angel is another brilliant show anyway. So don't try to mimic Joss Whedon. I've made that clear. Just be your own thing within the Whedon-verse, and just have competent writing with strong, compelling narratives led by wonderful performances that doesn't come off too preachy to your audience, and you should be fine. People just want an escape. And if you can give us a worthwhile escape back into the Buffyverse, then everybody's going to be all for it. Yes, it might lack the Whedonisms that people love in the door, but like I stated, don't try to emulate him. Be your own self in his world, in his sandbox. But let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications so you can never miss a video. In the description, I have links to my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there to let me know any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.